Hello, I'm Rick Hertless, founder of His Gospel Power. Thank you for joining with our program as we look into the last days before Jesus' second coming. We are looking into these times of the last days, of all the chaos, of all the things that are happening, that are going around the world. We are hearing about different things. We're hearing about Christs. We are here now. I think this is the time that we're going to get into the part where Jesus was talking about that when you hear of Christ around the world, or when you hear about Jesus, or when you hear about Him in the desert, don't come. Because we talked about this at the beginning of the week. Israel is, the rabbis of Israel, it sounds like they may be already meeting with their Messiah. Now that is, now I've heard other speculation that they're talking about they're coming together to pray for their coming of their Messiah, but there's other ones that are sounding like they are actually already face-to-face meeting with a man that they are claiming to be their Messiah. If that is the case, then the Messiah will be revealed soon, and it will be the Antichrist. And in fact, he will be the one that will perform great wonders and miracles, and people from all over the world will want to go and see Jesus. And in fact, I've seen some articles and some YouTubes that are claiming that he is even going to be called Yeshua. And so that will fit right along with the Christian, that would be the Christian deception. Look, Jesus, Yeshua is Hebrew for Jesus. Jesus is in Israel. Or Jesus, now obviously, their Messiah is going to travel around the world, probably trying to bring peace around the world. So now Yeshua is in Germany, or Yeshua is in China, or Yeshua is in Austin, Texas, or whatever. He is going to be going around the world trying to preach his false peace. And so I think we're beginning to, if that is the case, we're seeing that for certain. And that will be the beginning of the tribulation. Well, as we look into 2 Timothy 4:11, it brings us really back to what we're already talking about read the Scripture, preach the Word. Because it says, 4:11 says, only Luke is with me. This is Paul talking to Timothy, because everybody has deserted him, except just a few. Only Luke is with me. Get Mark and bring him with you, for he is useful for my ministry. Now remember, he and Mark had a big falling out. That was when Barnabas decided to leave because of John Mark. Paul, evidently they have reconciled. And so now Mark is a big part of his ministry. They have reconciled. They've asked for forgiveness of each other. Now they're ministering together. He is useful for me for my ministry. And Tychicus I have sent to Ephesus. Bring the cloak that I have left with Carpus at Troas when you come, and the books, especially the parchments. He's talking about the writings of the Scripture. He's talking about the writings that they have done under the influence of the Holy Spirit. He's talking about all of those things. So see, they are extremely important to him. They're extremely important for us to recognize and be able to see how we are to preach the gospel and how we are to preach the good news of Jesus Christ and of his soon return. I was going to soon recoming. I made a new word, didn't I? Soon coming, second coming, or soon return is what I was going to say. Jesus is coming back soon. Now imagine, Paul said we were in the last days even in his writings. Imagine how much more today. We already discussed this a little bit last week about the 6,000 years, and the fact that the millennium will be the seventh day, the rest of God, just exactly like was lined up in the book of Genesis. So we are now looking at the fact that we're actually, I think pretty much this week, we're focusing on preach the Word, read the Word, get into the Word, listen to God, understand what is going on. We are in the last days. Ron Stortle.
Well, there was a big message in this, and I know you didn't really get down to it, but in verse 14 and 15, I think that is really, and I wanted to get into that because I think that really is speaking.
Well, don't get into it too much. We'll hit that
yeah,
tomorrow.
It really speaks to what we're facing today. But you mentioned another thing about the coming Antichrist, and I showed you this article that I found that, I mean, if you want to talk about end times events and the revelation of the Antichrist coming about, this was from Israeli 365 News. And just think of this from the title. It says, Netanyahu will hand scepter to Messiah, son of David. Now, I didn't know this until I read the article, that according to Judaism, there are actually two Messiahs that are going to come. The first one is Messiah ben Joseph, who will recall all Israelites to the land of Israel.
Which I think's already happened.
Well, and that's what they're saying.
Yes.
They're saying that is happening now, has been happening under Netanyahu. And then the second Messiah.
And perhaps, you know what I hadn't thought about till just now, maybe he was Ben Joseph, maybe Netanyahu. Remember just a couple of years ago, he was saying, all Jews come back to Israel. He said, we will give everyone, make sure everyone has food and an AR or a rifle to defend themselves because of all the persecution. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It may have even been like 3 years ago. Could it be that Netanyahu was Ben Joseph?
And that is exactly what they're saying. They're the last, and they call them rebbes. They're not just rabbis, but they're like the superior rabbi. They call them rebbes. Schneerson, who died several years ago, is buried in New York. All the Jews go and worship his grave because they think they speak to him. Told Netanyahu that he needs to really up his game to bring their second Messiah, Messiah ben David, who really is going to be the Antichrist. But in this article, it says that the current rabbi, whose name is Sudri, has said that Netanyahu, who represents Messiah ben Joseph, will hand the scepter to Messiah ben David. So they're saying the rabbis in Israel have proclaimed Netanyahu to be the first Messiah that will hand the scepter to the Antichrist. Now, they don't call him that. They call him their Messiah. But this is what they're proclaiming in Israel. They have told Israelites, he is the current Messiah, and he will usher in the Antichrist. I mean, and they're not hiding it anymore. And I remember reporting back in March that the head rabbi, I don't remember if it's this one or a different one, said that they, like you said, they have been in touch with their Messiah, and he was going to be revealed in April. Maybe he has, like you said, he's been revealed to them, to the Sanhedrin, to the rabbis, but he hasn't been revealed to the rest of the world yet, and they're just waiting for Netanyahu to finish his tasking so that they can bring him out, and Netanyahu who can give the scepter, or pass the torch basically,
right.
to the Antichrist. They said that Netanyahu has fulfilled all their biblical prophecies of their first Messiah. I mean, that's how close we really are, that they believe we are at that point where he can hand it off to the Antichrist.
Well, and I've been saying for years, I've been preaching this for years, I believe the Antichrist will be a Jew. And for me, in my logical mind, and I might be off, I might be, because there are others, I guess, who are a lot smarter than I, who have said, oh, it's going to be of this, or that, or the other. And I do know that there have been messiahs that have been other nationalities other than Jews. But I think for this Messiah, for one, they were looking for a Jew the first time. Now, they missed it. They missed Jesus. He was a Jew. They were looking for a Jew the first time. And I think they're looking for that because they're looking for the Jewish king. And I can't imagine they would call their... Now, I do realize that King Cyrus, they were a vassal of King Cyrus the Great, who was predicted by Isaiah that he would conquer and would basically be their deliverer, their Messiah. But they did not consider him their king. But they're looking for their king, which I think will be a Jew.
Well-
And so they come together and they recognize that he is a Jew and make him their king, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a king and a ruler that will bring them back to where the pinnacle of where they were in the Old Testament and make them basically the ruler of the world.
And the only, which not even to contradict anything you said, to their definition of a Jew, does he have to be of the national heritage or a converted religious Jew?
No, I think he has to be. I think they're looking for someone of Jewish descent. Think about it. He's called Ben David. Okay? David was the king. He was King David. He was a Jew. No, I don't. I get what you're saying. No, could he just be a converted? No, I don't think so. I believe they're looking for someone of Jewish descent.
Okay, and the only reason I ask that is because Revelation does say he'd be an Assyrian.
Well, but it also says that he will not worship the God of his fathers.
Right, and I'm throwing these out there
yes.
because could he be a converted Jew but not be of Jewish national heritage?
I mean, yeah, and anything is possible.
Right.
Like I said, this is kind of out of the book of Rick. Where is in Revelation? Where are you talking about?
I'm looking that up right now.
That's kind of, like I said, it's just my speculation. It's that I'm thinking logically. It sounds to me like they would be looking, because I know they're looking for a king, and I would think that he would be a king of Jewish descent, especially they're calling him Ben David. I mean, that seems like they're looking. In fact, I'll take it to the next level. Remember, they're looking for someone in the lineage of David. Don't forget that. I had forgotten that. It just brought it back to my mind. Remember, they're looking for remember how Jesus made sure he understood that they understood he was of the lineage of David. He made sure we understood. In fact, if you look at the genealogies of Matthew and Mark, let me see. That's why the genealogies are so important, because he lists the genealogy to make sure you understood that he was in the lineage of David through both Mary and Joseph. One of them was legally, and one of them was physically. Okay? So he was in the genealogy of David. And so now we're looking for Ben David, which means, to me, you know what? I wonder if anybody else has overlooked this. It just popped into my head. They're looking for someone in the lineage of David. And that would have to be a Jew. He would have to be a Jew. And so that's what I'm looking at, that in the lineage of David, that he would have to be a Jew. And that, so, boy, that is, like I said, that is something that just popped into my mind. And the Lord is good that way. God, the Lord just continues to school us. But I've heard from many theologians of who the Antichrist was going to be, and yet they're always saying of this nationality, of that. But I'd forgotten he will be a Jew. I think that I'm right here. What do you think? Especially, like I said, I mean, Jesus was a Jew, and they were looking for a Jew for their Messiah. And so I think I've got legs to stand on through the scriptures for that they were looking for a Jew.
Yeah, and I just that's the reason I presented the question, because
I just don't recall in Revelation where you're talking about it says he will be an Assyrian, but it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means I don't recall it.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to look it up right now. But yeah, and that's really the reason I posed the question, because if you think about the Jewish, well, I almost want to say the Zionist concept of what a Jew is, do you really have to be of national descent? I mean, look at someone like Jared Kushner. he's a Jew, but he's not of Jewish descent. He's a converted Jew, just like his wife, Jael Kushner.
No, Kushner. That's a Jewish name, though, isn't it? I think it is. I think, but, and I don't know if he's going to be it. I mean, I've said for a long time he could be he could be the Antichrist. I've said that for a while. But, I mean, if you look in Luke, you're looking at the genealogies of Matthew. Remember, it says that the Messiah is going to be out of the lineage of David. Well, the genealogy of Matthew, chapter 1, and then you look in the genealogy of Luke, chapter 3, of Jesus. And both of them point, for a reason, they bring us all the way to the lineage of David, to make sure that we understand that this is fulfilled. That we are now looking at someone who is the Son of God, because it was fulfilled he was in the lineage of David. Well, that makes good sense that it would be the same with this Messiah, especially since they're calling him Ben David. Or I guess David, maybe in the Hebrew language, but one way or the other. So, okay, one way or the other, what we are talking about is that Jesus Christ is coming soon. And it's quite possible that we are about to see the revelation of Antichrist. And if you think about it, the Jew would absolutely be Antichrist. And now, why? Because Christ was Jesus, and they're saying he was not Christ, and that would make this next one an Antichrist. I mean, the Jews basically are Antichrist anyway. Well, think about it.
We know the wording is hard. Let's just say those that follow Judaism, because technically we're Jews because of our faith. So it's almost
no, because of our faith we are. But I agree with you. But what I'm getting at is those who follow Judaism, but are the lineage of Jews still. So I know it gets convoluted. It's
they've really messed this up.
It kind of gets complex. It could be seems complex, but in the spirit, it's not complex at all. Well, that's all the time that we have. Thank you for joining with our program. Please go to hisgospelpower.org, click on the donate button or the contact us button. Until next time, I pray you receive His gospel power today.
He died for you, He died for me. From our sin, He set us free. He loved us so, His life He gave. So if we ask, we can be saved. He's calling you, He's calling you. Jesus Christ is calling you. He's calling you. If He's touched your heart and soul, let Jesus make you whole. Come near with me, and we will pray that all your sin be washed away.